Welcome back to welcome back to public speaking
Hello,
class.
teacher. Wow,
Wow.
it's been so long, Mr. Archer. And you still have that Mario background.
I do. All right. All right, cool. I don't need to mute you guys. You got quiet. Good. So yeah, welcome back. It's been a few weeks. We've had a successful NCSN debating championship tournament. And now that that's done and I've got my Sundays back, we're back to finish our public speaking class. So let me get my slideshow ready. Okay, so public speaking. Wait. Wrong one, Michael. Oh no, it is the right one. That should just be week 10. That's better. I thought for a second, something looks wrong there. I just had the wrong number written. All right, so welcome to week 10, the art of storytelling. So, this evening we've got a few objectives to meet, and particularly we're going to learn about certain aspects of storytelling that we can use in our public speeches to make them a bit more interesting. Oh, thank you very much, Stella. Thank you very much. So, before we do go on, we're going to get started this evening with an icebreaker activity. But before we do, let's think back over some of our previous lessons all those weeks ago. So, who can tell me something that they've learned about public speaking, excuse me, since we started the course? I was scoffing down my dinner, just to try and get it finished before class started. So if I'm hiccuping too much, I apologize. I just ate too quickly. But yeah, so who here can remember something about public speaking that we've learned? So remember what we've learned about our body language. We learned about posture, facial expressions, hand gestures, vocal modulation. We learned how to write a good speech, how to prepare to speak on short notice if you've been asked to give an impromptu address. There's lots of different topics, guys. So who remembers something that we've learned in the past? Put your hand up or send it through in the chat box, please. Anyone at all? Very good, Tan. But what about body language? Good, Tina. So what's something that you learned about hand gestures? Don't just give me all the answers I gave you a second ago. Tell me something that you've honestly learned during this course. Very good, Mimi. Victoria. Yeah, you put your hand up. Victoria, what's your answer?
You mean what I study the hand gesture lesson?
Yeah, so when we studied hand gestures, what's something that you can tell us about the hand gestures that you learned?
Hand gestures that I just studied that is like preparing for the lesson or something that we're trying to introduce with the listener. And also it prepares a lot to make it more emotions or a lot more things that are really important for our presentation. So I think that's how I study, I think. Yeah.
Very good, thank you. Okay, so we're going to do a little bit of an icebreaker activity to just get everybody used to, or just to get everybody used to being back in this class again. So I'm going to get a timer out, and I'm going to set it for 1 minute, 30 seconds. And put your hand up if you'd like to have a go at just sharing a mini story with the class that takes about 1 minute to 1.5 minutes long. Who would like to share a story with the class? Can be about anything, something that happened, something you make up, whatever you'd like. Just keep your story to about 1 minute to about 1.5 minutes. Victoria, you
Okay,
ready?
so
Time starts now.
okay. Okay, so my story is about the bird the turtle.
Your
Uh,
story's about a turtle, huh? Go on. You've got 1 minute and 10 seconds left.
as some kind of turtle thingy.
What about it? You have to tell us a story about this turtle thingy. 1 minute.
So so while I was going on the park, I just saw a little baby turtle in the pond. I was too nervous. I was too nervous to pick him up because I thought that his shell is like he's a baby, so I thought that his shell is not like what I can stomp on. So
Mm.
I was too nervous to pick him up and also scared that he's gonna be hurt. Then I just saw the turtle just crawl to my sandal for some reason, and then it it took a bite. Yep. And it was a very funny story with me at a park. My mom didn't even see it at all. So that's all. I really love animals. That's my information. Yep.
Perfect timing. Your 1 minute and 30 seconds just ended. Thank you, Victoria. Okay, next we have Tui. What's your story that you'd like to share, Tui?
This is about when I just go to the singing competition. My, my music teacher chose me to sing, so I had a little bit shaky, had a funny feeling, and I'm not very pleased to do it. When the day tomorrow I just going to do it, I was have a little bit scared. So if I just have no nervousness, I'm going to look at the mirror and sing a song and read a book and play a game. That is makes me feeling better. And tomorrow I wish I could go there for a little bit sooner if I go for too late.
Very well done. Thank you, Tui. Okay, so next up we have Donwen Kanu.
Okay, so I would
Is
like
that you,
to
Emily?
tell you, yeah, but I can change my name.
Ah,
It's
okay,
me.
but it is you. Okay, so your time starts now. Tell us your story.
About drama at my drama class. One time, my drama class teacher has gone sick, so we were just put in the classroom with a movie to entice us for the period when an armor went off. None of us was sure if it was the firearm or the lockdown arm. So we all head out into the hall to check, and no one there. So we hear a bag and climb under our desk and it's locked down with the door. Cuts to an hour or so later when a teacher harassed and nearly died of the relief because the school was on fire and we were early students, not accounted for a half of faculty, and fire department has been searching for us for age. Literally, the whole school has fewer smoke while we keep super safe under our wooden desk. That is stupid.
Very good. Thank you very much. Okay, next up we have Anna. Let's hear your story, Anna. Your time starts now.
Yeah, it just happened today when my grandma gave me an orange, and then when I go to the and when I went on my dad cars to go back to my home, and when I tried to open the orange, and I see when I open like the cover of the orange, like the skin, and I see another skin. Then I still open it and I see a little orange inside it. It looks like it had a present.
Oh, very good. So you got a tiny little orange wrapped inside a bigger orange. Very good. Thank you, Anna. Alice, let's hear.
Oh well, last week when I go to the zoo, I was terrified of snakes, but I still wanted to see them, so I go to the next section and see them. And right then, when I was like in front of the gate, I saw a big snake in front of my face. Like it was really big, and I thought it was. And I thought to myself, I think that, oh my gosh, I think the snake just broke out of its house, and I was terrified. I couldn't even move. And then my little brother just came out and he picked up the snake and he said it was just a toy. Quite terrifying. And I was like, and then from that day forward, my brother learned to not mess with me again because like I was so mad at him and that day he was so quiet and I don't talk to him. He just talk to me, and then everyone was like, there was so, boring. Yeah, that's all.
Thank you very much, Alice. So just replying to a message quickly here. And then okay. So next we'll have two more and then we'll move on. So we'll do Cheer An first and then Stella to finish it off. So Cheer An, can you turn your camera on for us, please, and then tell your story.
Yep, and when I come to a cafe last week with my friends, and my friend said that dog is very silly and it has like one of the ropes that keep the dog not to go, but my friend keep bullying dog and that keep barking, and suddenly the rope would like it broke it, and the rope it knots said to the dog, and the dog run and chase my friend. My friend run all the all the all the ground, and when one of the men who is host the dogs called out and shouted, and it stopped chasing my friend. My friend is very scared, and she want to cry.
Thank you very much, Sunny. Well done. And our last story that we'll hear this evening before we move on is from Stella.
Okay, so this is kind of a true story. So last time in my science class in my school, we study a course about coffee, like where coffee come from and why do we drink coffee. But then one day I like coffee so much, I bring a few home. I buy a few coffee seeds. I bring it home, make some coffee. But the problem is I mix the salt with the sugar and then I just put it in the fridge. My brother opened it, he smelled it, and then he just like, Stella, why do you make this for? And I said like, oh, I just make it for it's science project. And then he said back to me, oh, then why do we need to make it icy? And then I said, because I thought you like ice cream coffee. And then he just tell me that if I do this one more time, I'm gonna be in big trouble. But then my dad stepped in, take the coffee and break it and then just drink it. He said, that is very delicious. And I was like, wow, how can you do that? And then my brother is like very surprised too. And from that day on, I didn't like to see coffee anymore. But the question I want to ask you is, do you like coffee?
Well, thank you very much for your story, Stella, but I will say I don't mind coffee. I don't love it, but I don't hate it either. I'll drink it, just not very often. Okay, thank you very much to everybody. Okay, I'm just going to try and lower everybody's hands, but won't worry about that. So the first thing I want to talk to you guys tonight about is the importance of storytelling. Now, I want you guys to ask lots of questions and answer lots of questions as well with what we talk about tonight. So the first thing is, let's discuss how we can communicate more effectively by telling stories to pass our message on. So who has an idea? Why do we communicate more effectively by telling stories? What is it about telling stories that makes our communication so much better? Mina.
Firstly, I think that when they telling stories, it will be much more interesting than just saying things that people don't understand. For example, my teacher often lecture us and say things that we don't really understand, so we thought it was really boring. But when she's starting off about the story of her life or some animals or some creatures, we can immediately start to be interested in the topics and we can be more like we will like it more than a lecture will.
Very good, Mina. So it makes your speech more interesting for your audience. Very good. I got a message from Tina as well. It shows passion and nostalgia. Very good. So if you tell a good story in your speech, you can come across as quite passionate about your topic of speech. And as well, nostalgia means to remind you about the olden times. So, for example, so a good example of nostalgia that I could give you would be every time, say, an old celebrity musician decides to do a new tour, go on tour and do lots of concerts so they can make money. All of their fans will come along and listen to them, and if they play all of their old songs that they released years ago, then that's nostalgia. You're reminding them of the olden times. Okay. So, Nung Do, how does storytelling make us communicate better? Can you tell us an idea?
Hello, teacher.
Hello.
My name is Olivia.
Nice to meet you, Olivia. So can you tell us, how does storytelling make us better communicators?
Today is Sunday.
Very
My
good.
family and me is going to the hotel to live there for a month.
Nice. Have you gone on a holiday?
Yes, it's very fun there. And it also has a beach.
Very nice. Well, I hope you have a lot of fun.
My brother likes seashells.
Cool. You collect seashells.
Hopefully it had cold bed.
Well, very good. Thank you very much for sharing.
It's almost finished. I have to tell you.
Okay.
I also in there has a TV and a mirror.
Very nice. So you can watch TV shows if you need to.
In fact, it also has a restaurant.
A restaurant?
Yes.
Oh, cool. So you can go down and get something to eat. Yum.
Teacher, I have to tell you something.
Okay, one last thing, and then we do have to move on.
What is your name?
My name's Michael.
Michael. My teacher is named Nick.
Oh, cool. Well, thank you very much for sharing. I would like to ask someone else for an answer now, but thank you for that little chat. That was great. Alice, you look like you're next in line.
What? What are
So,
you saying?
can you tell us how does telling stories make us better at communicating?
It helps me learn the pronunciation, I guess.
Very good. So practicing telling stories can be a great way to work on
Yeah,
your
to learn.
pronunciation,
Oh,
work on your
yes,
vocabulary
it
as well.
is. Yes,
Very
it can
good.
help us to learn about vocabulary.
Very good. It can increase your vocabulary very well as well. Terrific. Thank you very much, Alice. Tui Dung. Hello.
Yes.
Can you hello. Can you think of an example of why telling stories helps us communicate better?
Because sometimes telling a story can be interesting, and it can help us communicate better, and other people sometimes like the story that you have, so and you have more communication that is better, and sometimes story is interesting too.
Very good. Thank you. I got a great message from Michael. It can be a real life example. So if you need to, say, teach your audience a lesson or remind them of something, stories can be a great way to do that as well. So very good, guys. We'll move on to the next question now. And that is, what do you think are some of the connecting factors between telling stories and building confidence? So another way to ask that question is, how can telling stories lead to you building your confidence? Lu Tian Kwok Khan.
Yes.
So how do you think telling stories help increase your confidence?
It helped me learn new things, helped me improve my stats around real life to help us know what will happen if us do something in real life.
Very good. So the lessons that we learn from the stories we read, they can help us to make better decisions in our own lives. Very good. Victoria, I see you doing your funky little arm dance there. What's going on? What's your answer?
Yes. So you mean the question that you have asked, right?
Correct. How can telling stories help you to build your confidence?
So for my opinion, that I think storytelling could you be quiet a little bit? So building some of the storytelling can make confidence because sometimes that we are nervous to talk about our life, and if we use some of the storytellings that could be like a very good story or new story about your life that will build confidence for you and the other person that is listening to you too. So I think that's my opinion. Yep. Thanks.
Very good. Thank you very much, Victoria. We will take a couple more answers, and then we'll move on. So let's ask Min Hang. Hello, how are you?
No, my name is Apple. It is my mom name.
Oh, sorry about that. So, can you tell me, how does telling stories make you feel more confident?
Story have so many of the story different because it's so many like a story about forest in habitat or desert and many things, many story is have so many animal like in the forest have a fox and have a rabbit up and in the desert have a snake and have a aeroplane, but it's have only one plane and another plane, and in the forest the fox and have so many animals live in the forest.
Very good. Thank you very much. Okay, so I'll do one more, and then we will move on. Michael, how do you think telling stories can build your confidence?
I think that when you go naturally, it will build up your confidence. I can take an example from like when you want to demonstrate how hard it can be for doing political paper and stuff. like you're not confident that they will understand and tell you all about the steps that they have to go through. But when you tell a real life story of you experiencing, it can be more natural and you can just tell it in the normal way, so you don't get any chunking in your speech about any hard words that the audience don't understand, and they will understand it. You understand it, they understand it, and it will build up your confidence, and you will tell it fluently.
Very good. Very good. So yes, you can use personal anecdotes as stories in your speech. If your speech is, or if your story is based around describing something that happened to you, that can help you feel a lot more confident because you lived through it, you know what happened. You'd be able to talk about it very well. So a lot of great answers there, guys. I don't know what I'm doing. Okay, so the next thing that we want to discuss, if you're going to use stories in your speeches, is we need to know the elements of a great story. Now, this is a very shorthand version of some stuff that I teach in a storytelling class on Monday nights. But because this is only in the context of doing public speaking, then we only need to know these few things about it. So, to tell a good short story, you need to consider 3 things. Number 1 is your story needs a compelling plot. Elements, it means parts of a short story. So number 1 is a compelling plot. What actually happens in the story? So the things we need to think about for the plot are we need to have a good introduction. We need to have a source of conflict, so perhaps a problem that our characters need to overcome. And then we need to finish the story with the resolution of the issue. So do our characters overcome this problem, or does the problem beat them? So those are the 3 things we need to think about for the plot. So the beginning, the middle, and the end of the story. Number 2, we need relatable characters. So we need characters that we care about, characters that we're interested to hear what happens to them. Because if say, for example, I write a story and I haven't written my characters very well, and you read the book and you read it in 5 pages and you're going, I just don't care about these people. Why do I care? That's the question you need to answer with your characters. Make your audience care. And finally, a clear message. What is the point of the story? Well, that would indeed be a very sad story to write, Victoria. But we need a clear message. So if we're telling a story in the middle of a speech, chances are we're not, what am I trying to say here? We're not just telling a story because it's a fun way to spend 3 minutes. That story should have a point or a message that it intends to deliver to the audience. So make sure that you've thought about the message of your story. Very good. Vike just sent me a message and asked, like theme. Yes, like the theme of the story. Very good. So let's think of some examples now of some stories that we've read. They can be short stories or long stories or whichever kind of stories you've read. And let's think of some stories that have used one of these 3 points very well. I'll go first. For me personally, it's Harry Potter. And for me, I think J.K. Rowling did a great job of writing relatable characters. Like I cared about Harry, I cared about Dumbledore and all Ron and Hermione. I cared about all of them because J.K. Rowling wrote her characters very well. So who can think of a story that either had a great plot, a relatable characters, or a clear message? Kelvin, what's a story that you've read before
Yes.
that used
I
one
have
of these 3 points very well?
I have read about Harry Potter, maybe, but I read it long ago, so I don't remember much.
Okay, do you remember any other stories perhaps that either had a very good plot or good characters or a clear message?
Maybe no.
No worries. Thank you very much, Kelvin. Lisa, Olivia, Marissa, Lisa, hello. You've got 3 names there. I don't know which one to call you.
My name, you can just call me Olivia.
Thank you, Olivia. Hello. So, what's a story that you've read that either had a very good plot, very good characters, or a clear message for the readers or the audience?
I think the story that I have read is the Fables.
Ah, Aesop's Fables.
I don't remember that fable much, but I can remember the name. Maybe is it the 3 axes?
Is that like the 3 little pigs or the 3? I'm sure there's a few of them.
Oh yeah, the 3 pigs.
The 3 pigs, that's a good story, yes. So those stories, obviously, they had a very clear message. Each story or each fable that was written was designed to teach children a lesson about life, how to behave or what not to do. Something important those stories taught. Very good, Olivia.
Well,
And
I think the main idea of that story is to be hardworking.
that's very true. Very good. Thank you, Olivia. Well done. And Ricky, I can't believe you would even ask a question so insulting. Of course I care about Hagrid. How could you ask me if I don't? Of course I do. Very good, guys. So, Lutian Khan.
Yes.
What's a story that you've read before that had a good plot or good characters or a clear message?
About Howl's Moving Castle. It had a worker, demons, Howl, like mermaids included in it, and even wizards.
Cool. So it had some cool characters in there that you liked.
Yeah.
Very good. Thank you very much. Okay, Vike. Hello, Vike. What's a story that you've read that has one of these 3 things that they did particularly well?
I'm thinking about the Hunger Games.
The Hunger Games. That was a very good story, wasn't it? What did you like about the Hunger Games?
And I like to say the
to me, the characters aren't exactly relatable because, like, the main character, which is Katniss Everdeen, like, she lost her father, and I still have my dad, so. But I think it's the clear message and compelling plot because it's really like it really like captivates your mind. And I spent like 3 nights reading this without even sleeping. So first one's
Oh, to be young again. But yes, very good. The Hunger Games was a great story. It did have a great plot line and a very clear message. Fascism is bad. Treat people good. But thank you very much, Vike. Mina, what's a good story? We'll do 2 more, Mina and Sky, and then we'll move on.
I think the best book I have read, but I haven't read the whole series yet. But I think the best one is Percy Jackson.
Percy Jackson.
Yeah, by Rick Riordan.
Very nice. And what do you like particularly about the Percy Jackson books?
Well, I personally like fantasy or nonfiction, and this book about Greek gods is like it fits every of my checklist of being a good book, and his like hit words, the way he using the words, the way he described things is very good.
Very good. Thank you very much. And we'll go to our last person for this question now. Hello, Sky.
Hello, teacher.
So what is a good story that you've read before?
I have read the story, the rabbits and the crowd.
And what did you like about that story?
I like about it has a clear message.
Very good. And what is that message?
The message is if we just sit and do nothing, sit in a high place.
Very good. Thank you so much, Sky. What a great answer. Okay, so let's move on for now, guys. Those were some really good examples of some stories that used these points very well. So great job, everybody that got to answer that time. So we're going to just very quickly break you guys into we're gonna break you guys into three groups. And I'll make some breakout rooms for those, set you guys a 15-minute time limit. Each group will be required to talk about one of the following elements. So group 1 will talk about what it means to, sorry, I lost my train of thought there for a moment. But yeah, so group 1 will be talking about the plot of a story. Group 2 will be talking about the characters of a story. And group 3 will be talking about the message of a story. And so when you guys are having this conversation in the breakout rooms, I want the groups to discuss things like the topic, how does this element affect the quality of a story? So how can a very good plot affect a story versus how can a very bad plot affect a story? Or how can the characters or the message of the story affect them? And finally, after you've spent 10 to 15 minutes discussing these questions with your group mates, or I'll select a representative from each group to present your findings to the rest of the class. So I'm going to open up some breakout rooms now. And whichever room I assign you to, that's the topic I want you to discuss with the rest of your group mates. Give me just 2 moments, everyone. Okay. Okay. Sorry, guys, I'm just assigning everybody to the breakout rooms now. I will, as soon as I've done that, I'll be right back with you. Okay, so I've assigned everybody to their rooms. So when I open your breakout room shortly, all right, so everyone make sure you're listening up now and I'll explain what we're doing. So I've randomly assigned everybody to the breakout rooms. If you end up in room 1, you will all be having a discussion about the plot of a story. And you'll be answering questions like, how does this element affect the quality of stories? And what are some examples, excuse me, of stories that employed this element well? If you're in room 2, you'll be discussing characters in stories. And if you're in room 3, you'll be discussing the message of stories. So what is the book or what is the story trying to teach the audience? That's what I want you to discuss. And after 10 or 15 minutes, I'll elect somebody from each group to report your discussion findings to the rest of the class. So here we go. I'll occasionally pop in from room to room just to give a bit of a helping hand. So I'll see you guys shortly.
Sir, number one, you're on mute, and number two, I got kicked out of the Zoom. So can you please add me into any random room, please?
Which room were you in last time? Which room were you in last time, Vike? Three. Okay. And just like that, you all come tumbling back into the class. Welcome back. Okay, so our first group was for the plot of the story. So to tell us a little bit about the plot of stories, let's have Michael, please. Where are you hiding, Michael? I'm going Oh, no, that's Kevin. Oh, there you are. I found you. So, Michael, can you tell us about the plots, about the plot of stories and how it can affect the quality of the
Sorry.
story? I hear the doorbell in Michael's camera,
Yeah,
but
sorry.
I see Mina freaking out and running off screen.
Yeah. Can I just say that our group actually choose Dino Sticky as a leader? You know,
Pardon?
you know, we have choose Dino Stitchy as our presentator. So yeah.
Well, if that's the case, then go on.
What? I just go on that the effect of a good
Dino
plot to
Stitchy.
to a story. Oh yeah.
Okay. All right. Ask to unmute. Dino Stitchy, you apparently were request.
Yes.
You were requested to be this group's speaker, so can you tell us about the plot line for stories, please?
I think I'm gonna choose about the Diary of the Wimpy Cat. I guess I'm
Pardon?
I think well you hear me right? You hear me right? I don't know.
Yeah, I can hear you fine.
Okay. Well, I think we're gonna choosing about uh the Diary of the Wimpy Cat. You know that though?
I have heard of that story, yes.
Yeah, it's pretty much the bestseller of the New York. Probably I'm gonna tell every kind of story right? Or just once, like shortcut one. Tell a shortcut one about it.
So just talk to us then about how Diary of a Wimpy Kid, how does that story use, or so how does that story's plot make the story better? What is so good about the plot of this story?
Well, I have read a lot of them, so let's just say it's about a family, and the main character is Greg Halfway. Well, he also got into a lot of trouble, also a weird trouble, dangerous trouble, but he still managed to, um, well, fix everything. But sometimes it's really out of control. I think that I think the thing makes it more popular is because, well, I don't know about the thing the family have went through, or kind of a weird adventure, or the situation they face. And I think that has made the Diary of the Wimpy Kid popular. Oh yeah, totally. And I also watched the movie with my big brother too. So I feel pretty nice. I mean, like really nice. And I think that's what to say now.
No, well, give me 2 seconds. Okay, so next I would like to call on the group number 2 who are discussing characters, and I'd like to hear from Kelvin, please. Participants, Kelvin. Kelvin. Are you there? Apparently not. Let's try Kayla. Kayla, are you there? Kayla seems to be hiding as well. Oh, there she is. Hi, Kayla.
I don't understand everything because this is my first day, so I can't talk.
No worries. Thank you very much. Let's try last hope for group 2. Lewis. Lewis, that was in group 2.
I'm here. I'm here, teacher.
Oh, okay. But is that Lewis or Lily?
I'm Lily.
Okay. Thank you, Lily. Can you tell us about the characters?
Wait, I'm in the meaning group. Group 3.
You're in the meaning group. Okay, we'll get to you guys shortly then. Someone from group 2 to tell us about characters. All right, let's skip group 2 then, I guess. Lily, let's hear about what you guys were talking about in the message of the story, please. Lily, yes?
Okay. So that now I will present for the team 3 about the story, about the method of the story, or the stems is what the author wants to teach the readers. It's a core component of a good story and can affect the qualities of the story in the following way. Firstly, it's about the plot. A story message can make it easier to outline the plot and narrow in the climax, and inspire people to change. Excellent emotions about the story message can provoke thought, evoke feelings, and elicit reaction. This can enhance the resonance of the story with the audience. And some other literacy elements that can improve the qualities of a story include about purpose and meaning. It helps readers to understand what the author is trying to say, and connection. It allows readers to connect with the characters and event on deeper levels. There are some examples about like the tortures in the hair. It teaches us that don't be subtractive because not really like we are better than the other. We can always beat them. Sometimes we can be just better. And there are also a story is about the grasshopper and the ant. It's present about when the grasshopper are just playing and doing funny things in the summer without working anything, and in the summer it need to borrow food from the other creatures in the forest. So I think I will leave my case here then.
Very well done. Thank you, Lily. Okay, so thank you to those of you that delivered your group's presentation. And to anyone that was saying your group didn't have enough time to prepare, you had the same 15 minutes those other groups did. So yeah, just use your time a bit more effectively next time. Oop. So we'll talk now. So far what we were talking about were more, I suppose you can use those techniques on non-fiction stories as well. So if you just want to tidy up the plot, what happened in the story, get your characters set, and think of a message that you're trying to deliver for telling that story. You can do non-fiction as well as writing fiction stories too. But if we're using like personal stories that have happened to us, so we're talking about our own experiences, this is what we call anecdotes. So an anecdote is a story that has happened to you about just any event in your life that you wish to tell somebody. So who can think of a reason why telling personal anecdotes in your speeches can be a powerful technique? Why can that be a good tool to use when you're giving speeches? I'll give you guys an answer then. So if I'm speaking to you, I'm just going to pick an extreme example here, completely made up, but let's just pretend this is real. So let's say I'm giving a speech on climate change or global warming, and and part of in my speech, I tell you the story of how I used to live I used to live right on the coast of a beach. And because of the rise in sea levels, my house got flooded and I lost my home. So I can speak to the impacts of global warming because it's personally affected me, and I can share that story and perhaps gain some sympathy, or at the very least have people trust me and treat me as credible now because they're hearing the story of how I survived what I'm talking about. Yeah, forest fires too. Very good, Tina. Anecdotes are appropriate to relive one's feelings. So you can tell an anecdote to an audience if you want to try and get them to feel a certain way. If you have a story that relates to that, or a story of a time you felt that way, perhaps if you describe it well enough, you can get your audience to kind of feel that as well. So it can be powerful, yeah, for a few reasons to use anecdotes in your speeches. Very good, Lamb. Not antidote, by anecdote. Ethos, logos, and pathos. Like, not egos, ethos, ethos. And that would be pathos for the emotion thingy. The emotional side of ethos, pathos, and logos, that would be pathos, trying to play with their emotions. Okay, so if we're going to be using some personal anecdotes in a speech we're delivering, we need to consider a few things to make sure that we're telling appropriate anecdotes, because if I'm delivering again, a speech on global warming, the last thing I want to do is talk about how I might be giving speeches all over the world, so I need to fly around the world in my private jet. Because talking about like emissions and then saying, oh, I've got a private jet to get to these speeches doesn't paint a very positive image. So we need to consider certain things like the appropriateness of the story. So, making sure that there's no obscene language, no swear words, making sure that the story won't offend, or we won't say that it won't offend, but trying to make sure that the story offends fewer people as possible. Who else can think of something you might need to consider to make sure that a story you want to tell is appropriate for the audience? So we've got making sure there's no bad language. Another one could be making sure that there's no obscene content in the story. So we're not talking about something inappropriate for a public stage. So I'm not going to walk up there and be like, if you elect me, I promise to walk around the town and stab everybody. Don't say horrible things like that in a speech or in an anecdote. Or, don't tell a story about the time I did walk around town stabbing everybody. Don't tell stories like that. Although, truth be told, a better thing to say is just don't do that action. But yeah, so make sure that your stories are appropriate. Make sure that they're relevant. So make sure that these anecdotes are on topic with what you're talking about. So, so again, if you're talking about global warming, don't tell a story in the middle of your speech about how you went and watched the soccer game on the weekend. It's got nothing to do with what you're talking about. So make sure you keep it on topic. Okay. So are there any questions about making sure we select an appropriate anecdote if we're going to be telling one during a speech? Very good, Mimi. Your anecdote or any story you tell should be related to the topic that you're giving your speech about. Very good. Okay, so we'll skip that. Okay, so we'll treat this this creating engaging stories workshop. We will skip over that. My goodness, yeah, we're really running over time. So I have a homework task for you that I'll give you shortly. But let's reflect on the story crafting techniques that we discussed this evening. What's something interesting that you learned this evening? Or what are any questions you have about what we've discussed this evening? So Mimi, if you've got a question, now's your time to ask it. Stella.
Okay, so I just want to ask that when we write this story in a speech, do we have to make it long or short?
You want to make it short. So not short in the sense that it's like, well, I had a friend whose name was Steve. Steve walked down to the shop and bought chocolate milk, the end of story. So not that short, but you don't want to make it like a giant long story that takes like 10 minutes. Keep it short. Mimi, what's your questions?
When should you use an anecdote and when should you not?
So there are good question. So there are a couple of good places to use an anecdote or a story. So the first one is in your introduction of your speech. So sometimes an anecdote or a story or a joke can generate interest from your audience. It can set the mood. So if it's a serious joke, if it's a serious talk, you tell a short, serious anecdote, and you set the tone for your audience. They know, right, this is going to be a serious talk. Or if you tell a joke or a more lighthearted story or an anecdote, you can set the scene so everyone knows, oh, this is going to be a lighthearted and fun talk. You can also use them in the middle or in the body or in the conclusion of your speech, and you'd use it there more in the sense of to teach your audience a message, or to, once you've given them some information, you can tell them a story that helps support that message as well. So it kind of drills it in twice into your audience. And you can also do that in your conclusion so that you can leave your audience with a lasting impression. So if you tell them a story that they're going to remember during the conclusion of your speech, you leave them with a very strong image to remember, and they're more likely to remember your speech. So yeah, it can go anywhere in the speech, but that just depends on your use of it. So you can either put it in the introduction to set the tone, set the mood, or you can put it in your body or in your conclusion. And the purpose of that being to teach the audience or reinforce a lesson that you've already taught the audience. Thank you for your question, Mimi. Tui Dung, what is your question, or what's something that you learnt this evening you'd like to talk about?
If we tell a long story, the people who's listening will get bored, right?
Very true. Very true. So if you're talking, so if you give your speech and then right in the middle, you just do one story that's 15 minutes long, yeah, you're going to get your audience falling asleep. But there is actually, so that you'll be telling your story and they'll be falling asleep.
But we tell it too short, the audience won't like it, right?
Very good. So yeah, we want to try and shorten the story so people will be interested and not get bored. A really good tip that I've seen some very, very skilled speakers use is they will actually tell one story throughout the whole speech. So they'll tell the first part of the story in the introduction. And, so they might set the mood to be a bit serious or lighthearted. And then in the body of the story, the body of the speech, they'll tell a bit more of the story to teach the audience some lessons. And then in the conclusion, they might finish the story, but it turns out to be a big joke or something, and they leave the audience having a nice laugh. So you can do it like that, and that can still be very exciting.
Can I ask you a question?
Yes, one more question. What would you like to ask?
What's your favorite story?
Ooh, my favorite story of all time would have to be Harry Potter.
Yeah, it's my favorite story too.
How good is Harry Potter?
But I like Harry Potter and fairy tale.
Very
Sometimes it's
good.
kind of fun.
It is, isn't it?
Or maybe scary sometimes in Harry Potter.
Oh, it can be quite scary in that story. Okay, Lamb. Thank you very much, Tui. Lamb, I saw you wanted to ask a question. Can you put your hand up, please, so I can unmute you?
Are there any fun facts about the story, about the lessons today? Are there any fun facts?
Any fun facts? Fun facts like what? What sort of fun facts would you like to know?
Any fun facts about anecdotes?
Fun fact about anecdotes. I might have to ask for a couple of seconds to find this answer myself. Fun facts about anecdotes. Okay, so these fun facts, I've got a couple for you. These fun facts are more about stories than about anecdotes, but I've got some interesting facts. Did you know that more than 50% of all Hollywood movies are based on the same plot line, the exact same type of story? More than half of the movies in Hollywood are based on that one type of story. And oh my gosh, I'm Santa Claus now. And that story is the hero's journey. So if you think of things like, well, any superhero, whether it's Spider-Man, Superman, Thor, the Avengers, Lord of the Rings, Harry Potter again, they all follow that same plot line, the hero's journey. Oh my gosh. Yes, I will have to show you guys. I'll have to show you guys my amazing collection of artworks now. I'll show you them at the end of class. Okay. So yeah, that's interesting fact number one. More than half of the movies in Hollywood, they're all based on the same type of story. They've done some studies. So they've done some scientific studies about this, and it turns out that more than 65% of our daily communication and conversations is based around storytelling and anecdotes. So if you think about how many conversations you have with people where you tell them about something you did or something you saw with your friends or something your friend did or something cool you saw on the news. So yeah, lots of our conversations are based around storytelling. Ooh. Okay, your last storytelling fact before we finish up the night is the first known story was written in 3400 BC. So So you know how the year is currently 2023? I have to think about that for a sec. So if we break that down using maths, so Jesus died 2023 years ago, and this story happened 3,400 years before his birth. So we're looking at this story is about 5,500 years old, about 5,500 years old. That's an old story. That's from a long time ago. Okay. So do we have any last minute questions before we wrap up for the evening? Okay, so that is the end of class, but I did get some requests to show you the beautiful artwork that some students have so thoughtfully made for me. Oh, it's an ode to continued perfection. Okay, so these are all of the pictures that I've been sent so far. Oh, got another one there. Hang on, gotta save it. Okay, so let's begin having a look at these pictures, shall we? So this first wonderful picture was made by Alex, and as you can see, I've been turned into 5 monkeys in a tree. Alice made a picture of me relaxing on the beach. I got my glasses and a couple of cocktails. I do not even know what is going on here, but Alice made me a millionaire with makeup. Oh, I'm flexing. I don't know who did this one, but they turned me into a rave dancer, so I'm getting my party on.